Okay, let's dive into this. Usually a director's first feature is kind of like a practice run, right? It's a place to make mistakes, figure out their style, and just find their footing. But, as the old saying goes, every once in a while a director charges out of the gate fully formed. Michael Mann's 1981 film Thief was absolutely not a practice run or a rough draft. It was a complete, uncompromising cinematic vision right from day one.
So, Section 1. A fully formed debut. To really get how Mann arrived at this pivotal moment in 1981, we've got to look at his trajectory. His cinematic epiphany actually hit him back in college during a film history course at the University of Wisconsin. He described it as a wide-awake dream that made him realize he simply had to become a filmmaker. Fast forward a bit, he heads to the London Film School in the early 70s, making acclaimed documentaries. By the mid-70s, he's back in the US writing for massive TV hits like Starsky and Hutch. But here is the crazy part. By 1979, he was a super-hot TV writer, and he orchestrated this brilliant pivot. He basically extorted ABC. He told him flat out, "I won't write anything else for you unless you let me direct the TV movie The Jericho Mile." And he did this specifically to build the leverage he needed to create Thief exactly the way he wanted, zero studio interference.
Moving right along to Section 2, the obsession with realism.
Mann completely rooted the world of Thief in the genuine, unvarnished grit of inner-city Chicago. Growing up in that environment himself, he refused, and I mean completely refused, to rely on standard Hollywood cliches. He didn't just read books or watch other movies to research the criminal underworld, he actually went out and hung around with real thieves. He heavily based his protagonist on a real-life professional thief named John Santucci. And it didn't stop at the script. Those burglary tools you see the characters using? Yeah, those aren't plastic Hollywood props. They were Santucci's actual, real-world tools. Mann also drew on extensive interviews with inmates to perfectly capture the true, gritty post-prison psychology of a man trying to rebuild his life.
Get this, to truly understand the criminal mind, Mann had laid some incredible groundwork just a bit earlier in his career. He actually cast 28 actual convicts in major speaking roles for his TV movie The Jericho Mile. 28 of them. He spent countless hours talking to them, extracting this immense, raw psychological realism about what a guy actually misses when he's locked away from age 18 to his 30s. And he carried that exact psychological realism directly over to his direction of Thief.
For Michael Mann, masterful acting is entirely dependent on absolute, unquestionable authenticity. I know we all think of Mann for his incredible visual flair, but his core belief is that truth-telling in a performance requires real-world mastery. The visual style? It's actually secondary to the believable human core of the actor on screen.
He has this fundamental belief that every part of our brain is believing what we see because of the authenticity. Mann knows that we, the audience, are incredibly smart animals. We subconsciously detect when an actor is just faking it. But if the actor actually knows exactly what they are doing, our brains just lock in and accept the reality of the scene completely.
So, how do you actually get a major Hollywood A-lister to reach that level of truth? Let's break down the insane, rigorous preparation James Caan went through to play the lead. Step 1. He actually had to learn the real techniques of vault cracking. Step 2. He spent months embedding with real thieves like Santucci and real police officers, just observing that intense mutual respect between them. Step 3. Develop complete physical mastery. The crucial point here is that this belief in his own abilities affects absolutely everything. It affects how Caan holds a coffee cup, how he takes off his jacket, how he just walks through a door. All of these mundane little actions reflect a true, unquestionable underworld confidence, all because he put in the literal physical reps to master the trade.
Which brings us to Section 3, hyper-stylized visual psychology.
Now, this grounded realism is brilliantly contrasted with Mann's hyper-stylized visual palette. Mann did not want Chicago to look flat, the way it usually did on film back then, so he took incredible sensory advantage of shooting at night in the rain. Because as those black streets get wet, they become highly reflective, which literally turns a flat city into a psychological three-dimensional maze. You aren't just driving on the surface anymore, you're navigating through a dark labyrinth that perfectly mirrors the protagonist's internal world.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how he pulls it off. He achieves that highly specific, evocative atmosphere by using what he calls bizarro doubled compositions.
You've got streetlights reflecting directly onto the wet pavement below. You have vibrant neon lights bouncing beautifully off a sleek black 71 Eldorado as it cruises through the night. It creates a camera perspective completely locked into the character's psychology. The environment itself basically becomes a literal extension of the character's mind.
All right, Section 4, Synthesizers and Abstract Sound.
Think about this for a second. Given the inner-city Chicago setting, literally everyone expected a traditional Chicago blues score, something regional, naturalistic, and gritty. But Mann made a total genius pivot. He chose to work with electronic music pioneers Tangerine Dream. Why? Because synthesizers are abstract. This single choice completely elevated the film from straightforward, gritty naturalism into pure abstract art. It allowed the deep emotional and thematic elements to really emerge without being chained to the physical grit of the city streets.
Now, what's really interesting here is this absurdly specific detail, the key of F minor. Mann's obsession with layering sound was just profound. He and Tangerine Dream didn't just stop at the music. They actually took real-world sound effects, like a literal fire extinguisher going off during a scene, processed them in the studio, and tuned them into the musical key of F minor. They did that so the sound effect would perfectly harmonize with the film's score. Keep in mind, this was done entirely practically, way before the era of digital computer editing. It is just a stunningly intricate layer of design.
Let's bring it all together in Section 5, the blueprint for masterpieces.
When we summarize the core pillars we've uncovered today, we see uncompromising, research-based realism, hyper-stylized, atmospheric visual palettes, deeply abstract, intricately layered sound design, and true-to-life, physically intensive acting preparations. I can authoritatively state that whether you're watching the sprawling, intense bank heists of Heat or the gripping nighttime taxi rides of Collateral, every single signature Michael Mann move was born right here.
So here's the final, provocative question we're left with. If a director's entire cinematic DNA can be fully formed in their very first film, how does revisiting Thief change the way we experience modern masterpieces like Heat? I really hope this explainer has equipped you with a whole new, expert lens to view his work. I highly encourage you to revisit Mann's entire filmography. Look for those wet streets, listen for those abstract synths, and really watch the precise way the actors carry themselves. It honestly changes everything. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.